Perfect. So good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to have you here again today for this, let's call appointment at lunch break, have a lunch with SocialRES. Today, we have the second, let's say, case studies. To be honest, we have 2 case studies today related to practical tools, I would say, for social innovation. As you know, if you have followed the other webinars of today, these webinars are organized in the framework of the SocialRES project. SocialRES is a project co-financed by the European Commission, and in SocialRES we are going to have different case studies on social innovation, where I mean such innovation as case studies of crowdfunding, cooperative, and aggregation. So my name is Silvia Caneva. I'm the coordinator of SocialRES, and in a few minutes I will give the floor to our super speaker of today, so Nuno Brito Jorge, who is the founder and the CEO of GoParity. But before giving the floor to Nuno, I would like to let you know that we will have a very big event on social innovation, and so again, cooperative energy community, crowdfunding and aggregation, the 28th and 29th of April. So you will find in the chat the link to register to this event. It's an event with 4, thanks Alice, with 4 sister projects like SocialRES. It will be 2 days, and these 2 days we are going to discuss about crowdfunding, cooperative aggregation, and so on. It will be online and also on site, and so you have all the information in this link in the chat. So now I'm very happy to give the floor to Nuno. As I said, Nuno is the founder and CEO of GoParity. These webinars is here in Zoom for you participate in Zoom, but is also streamed in LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So after the presentation on Nuno, we are going to give the floor to the question and answer. First, of course, for you participate in Zoom, and then we will check also the question on the other social media. So Nuno, I stop now talking. I give the floor to you. I will switch off my camera. I will appear again, let's say, after your presentation. So thanks a lot, Nuno. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Silvia, for the introduction, and hi, everyone. I'm going to be sharing some of the experience we have with GoParity and also with Coopernico in Portugal. They're not directly related, as you will understand later, but I was actually in the origin of both, and both have been used as case studies for this SocialRES project. I have a presentation that I will be sharing. Maybe we can do the whole presentation and then do some Q&A if there's any questions or just curiosities in the end. But also feel free to use the chat while I'm speaking. So if you have any questions, then I'll try to be attentive to the chat too. So I'm gonna share my screen now. Not here. So I hope you can see the presentation.
Yes, we can see it. Yes, it's in presentation mode. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay, good. So as I said, my name is Nuno. I'm one of the co-founders of GoParity, but I'm also one of the co-founders of Coopernico, and I'm still currently the president of the board. Before I talk directly about these 2 initiatives and our case studies, there's some common ground that I would like to lay off, because it feels like sometimes in the energy sector it feels like we have evolved so much that we can't still relate to what were the origins of the energy system, and what was once sort of a system that was built to serve a purpose has now been serving other sorts of purposes that are not their end user. So the first premise I would like to have for the presentation is the energy system is there for one reason, and that reason is the end user. So it was servitized along the way, and we know there's a lot of other people making much more benefit, or benefiting much more from the energy system than the actual user. But the goal it was created, the goal it all started, was the actual end user, so that electricity can be available for everyone wherever it is needed. The second premise is that it is us, the citizens, who started this all. So even we can go back for more than 1 century, and if you think of the origin of the energy system, we will learn about many cases of people that got organized in cooperatives, to bring electricity to their towns, and to let's say bring electricity to the places where their state or their governments couldn't bring them. And this happened both in Europe and in the US. So this revival and people gaining back power, and renewable energy cooperatives and distribution cooperatives, this is all sort of going back to the roots rather than one innovative sort of way. What's innovative is the technology we are deploying and using to make this happen. And the third one is this thing of taking back power is not just a trend, and it also does not only apply to energy. Because we have this of course, for electricity or for self-consumption with solar power, for example. But we also have this with people going back to the land, back to agriculture, back to reusing clothes. So the whole thing of self-sufficiency extends well beyond what is the energy revolution that is going on right now. One other topic that I would like us to consider is also about the energy transition. So whereas there have been big times in the development of solar power, renewable energy, hydro, a lot of alternatives, today it is no longer an engineering issue. It is true that there are some barriers still to be tackled. For example, we can think about storage, and once we have cracked that in all the levels, then I'm sure we have all the energy problems solved. Of course, I'm disregarding the environmental impact of that, which is a whole other discussion. But what I wanted to be more clear about is there is enough technology to make us all self-sufficient and reliant in renewable energies. So the problem might be that there is a lack of investment, right? But that is also not true, because there is much more money in the world than what it is needed. It's just not being put to the right use. So we still have huge investment in coal or oil and other energy sources, or nuclear, that could be deployed in renewable energies in a much more efficient way. And the final is just a part of good news, that is, the younger the generation, the more they are willing to do what we call put their money where their mouth is. And we know that more and more young people do care about what they do with their money and with their habits, and with their choices as consumers. And this also applies to where they have their money, where they buy their clothes, what energy supplier they use, and every choice is a statement. And this is sort of where in both GoParity and Coopernico were born. So there are two different types of initiatives. One is a crowdlending platform. Well, it's actually much more than that nowadays, but we're going to focus on our crowdlending activities. And the other one is a renewable energy cooperative. So we can think of, if they were movies, then I would say GoParity or crowdfunding as a whole is more of sort of an action movie filled with more excitement, and the cooperatives would be the romantic movie or the more idealistic one, with people getting together to serve one good purpose that is beneficial to all of them. So GoParity. So starting now with them, I don't know if you have if there's any question just about the intro, feel free to use the chat. I think it is available. What I will do now is explain both, and then in the end we can have our discussion. So GoParity is a daily life impact finance and investment app that allows people and companies to use their money for good. This is how we describe ourselves. Basically, our proposition is that you are the owner of your own money, so you get to choose how it pays interest, how it generates interest, and what it is being used for. Because unfortunately, what we have in the status quo is the opposite. When you have your money in a bank, it might be in a savings account or in a current account, but you have no idea what it is being used for. Even if you have chosen some sort of green investment solution or fund, then you might still not know, you will still not know where exactly your money is, what projects it is being used to, and what impact or what positive impact it might be having. So we started in 2017 as a crowdlending platform for solar power in Portugal. In 2019, we shifted to an English-first crowdlending for sustainability. So we stopped doing only solar power and we broadened the scope of GoParity. And in 2021 is when we started to have more of an international approach with international users into projects and also in many different countries that I will share later. And our goal as of this year is to become what we call a quasi-bank, where we hope to be able soon to, apart from investment, also be able to offer savings accounts, cards accounts, and many different features that you might get to know in the future. We use a very streamlined business model. So anyone can be an investor with GoParity, both people and companies, and they lend money to sustainable project developers that we call promoters. So investments can range from €5 to €25 per project without any cost. And then in return, you get the repayment of your loan plus the interest that was agreed in the campaign that was launched. We split our project categories in 5 different categories. We have water and the blue economy, with a lot of aquaculture, for example, but also some water efficiency. We have business in transition, that is every project that is related to increasing the environmental performance of companies. It could be circular economy, electric mobility, for example. Green use of land, that relates to the way we grow food, but also to the protection of biodiversity. Sorry, sustainable energy, that covers renewable energies, but also energy efficiency. And the social economy, that would include projects such as work for charities, but also social innovation. In this graph, you can see that the biggest piece of the pie is on sustainable energy. So we still do a lot of solar power. We have recently done many SME self-consumption projects, but we've also funded a couple of energy communities in the north of Portugal. The second largest are water and social economy, and then there's been business and transition, and where we have less projects is on the biodiversity protection and sustainable agriculture, where we do have, for example, a very big reforestation project that we have done. Some examples of our projects, they could be the first project on the left, our projects in Uganda. I think we've done 4 or 5 already there, and we are funding dairy cooperatives to go solar. So in a place where the cooperatives rely on very unstable electricity or no electricity at all, where they are using the diesel generators, we have European investors fund a local company that installs self-consumption or even off-grid solar in these cooperatives, and using a sort of an ESCO model. So it's so we fund the local company, and then the company they charge a monthly fee to the cooperative. So these are amazing projects that make you go from using the diesel generator to being independent, renewable. Of course, they provide energy safety, but they also do more than that. And for one project, for example, we have come to realize that the fact that it was fenced and illuminated at night, and it was the only sort of, let's call it, public lighting in that area, it became a social gathering place for the people of the local village. Then the second project, there's a lot of stories like this of indirect benefits and indirect impacts that I would that I could share, and if in the end we have time, I would be happy to share some. Because sometimes we think that the impact, we measure it in terms of CO2 or jobs created or kilowatt hours generated, and then there's social positive impact that we have not imagined when we were preparing to launch any campaign. And then Fresco is a sustainable aquaculture offshore clam farm in the southern part of Portugal. So there's a lot of benefits to offshore farming, and this is a very innovative company, and they have raised significant amounts with us, but also I think over 14 million euros of private investment too. Ziv is an electric mobility company, so they apart from selling charging stations and cars, they also have cars and scooters. They also have an electric vehicle conversion technology, and they can turn any car into an electric car. And then the one on the right is something that is self-consumption for a rural tourism in the north of Portugal. In SocialRES, we have studied a specific case. It's also, I think you can see it now. It's a project that we like very much, and that we had been trying to do such a sort of project for a very long time, and it's the Asbestos free solar nursery. So the basic concept is this was a nursery, so a non-profit, and they had asbestos on their roof. And we have always seen that if you're going to touch any roof, why don't we make it solar? But we had never been able to make the business case work, and then it finally happened. So in this project, where it is a solar project for a non-profit, which means, of course, they will be more independent, they will save on electricity and everything, and with all the social benefits that are related to their activity, we also added the health and safety aspect of removing the asbestos ceiling. So this was a project with a term for 7 months. The reason that the loan is a bit longer is exactly because we needed to make the business case work, and they had a grace period of 3 months for the whole operation to remove the former roof, to put up the new one and the solar, and it paid 4.5% per year. So I'm not going to go through the description, but I would just like to share some of the indicators. So this is something we do at GoParity for every project, is we also measure their main impact indicators. So we know that this project will avoid the emission of 12.3 tons of CO2 per year. It impacted positively 105 people, mostly workers and the beneficiaries of this nonprofit, and it will generate 60 megawatt hours of electricity per year. Then there's a better description of all the impacts, and you can also see the Sustainable Development Goals that the project contributes to. Then there's information about the promoter. They're going to save 709 euros per month, and I think the number is also here. Yes, yeah, exactly. And we have had 367 investors fund a bit more than 51,500 euros. And I'm gonna go back to the presentation. I think you can see it again now.
Yes, you can see it. Presentation again.
Thank you. So just going back to GoParity and where we are. We are based in Lisbon, but we have done projects a bit all over Europe, South America, and also a bit in Africa. So we have projects in Ireland, Spain, the UK, the Netherlands, Sweden, Lithuania, and Italy in Europe. We have projects in Uganda and Kenya in Africa, and we have projects in Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia in South America. In this year, we're also, at the end of last year, we opened our offices in Canada, and we hope to launch GoParity Canada, hopefully still during the first semester of this year. One curiosity, we have investors from 65 different countries. At GoParity, we have, well, these numbers are a bit outdated, I'm sorry. We have more than 10,000 investors now. We have funded more than 160 projects, and we have invested around 12.5 million euros using our platform. We have seen some great growth from last year from the year before, 2020 to 2021. And just one thing that I would like to share about this is, we believe when we really started growing, it might be many factors and not only this one, but as we believe there's a different relation of people and the planet and people and their money and people and their choices after the pandemics. And it was after September 2020 that we started to observe our faster growth. I'm going to skip this slide. This is just our growth in number of users. But I'm going to share this one because more than all the financial and economic indicators that I could share, we also take our impact very, very seriously, and that's the purpose of us existing. So we know that our projects help save more than 23,000 tons of CO2 per year. We have helped protect more than 800 hectares of sustainable agriculture and biodiversity. We have impacted positively more than 60,000 people, and we have helped generate, more than 4,500 jobs. This was the part about GoParity. Silvia, should we stop in questions, or should I move on to Coopernico and then?
I think we can. You can move on, and then we collect all the questions at the end.
Okay.
It's fine for you. Yeah.
Okay. So Coopernico is a renewable energy cooperative, as I told you in the beginning. With this project, it's more. So renewable energy cooperatives are more like movements. The way I see them, they're more movements of citizens that want to engage in creating something different, rather than a sort of service or a business. So it was started in 2013. In November, we were 13 founders. We actually started it after I heard about Som Energia while I was researching what ways we could use to give people the option of investing in renewable energies. Some Energia is a renewable energy cooperative in Spain, for those of you who don't know, in Catalonia. And so we had already done a couple of pilot projects before we started the cooperative. Then we opened the cooperative in November 2013. And when we wanted to do more projects, and the concept of projects in Coopernico is a bit different, because what we do and we did from the beginning is we rent the roofs of charities. So we would rent the roof, install solar panels, and pay a percentage of our production as a rental for the roof. And then suddenly we had been developing a big pipeline of projects. I mean, not very big, something around, I think, 300,000 euros in 4 different projects, but we couldn't get the people who had joined the platform to fund them, and we could not raise money enough. So that's when I first reached out to European cooperatives, and I went to Brussels to talk to Fresco. That still wasn't a formal organization then. Fresco is the European Federation of Renewable Energy Cooperatives, and I went there. It was still a European project, and I asked them, so this is going on. I wonder if there's any way that you could help us. We have the project, but we don't have the money to start them. We have members, but members say, we will give you the money when we see the panels on the roof. And since we don't have money, we can't put the panels on the roof. Without the panels, we can't get the money. It was like a circle that we could not crack. And I remember it was, I was very nervous then, and the answer I got was not very enthusiastic. They said something like, we're not a bank, so maybe we can just send a letter to our members, and we'll see how it goes. And the truth is, 2 weeks later, we had 4 European cooperatives interested in helping. In the end, 3 of them stayed. So between 1 Belgian, 1 Dutch, and 1 Spanish cooperatives, some Energia, the Waterland, and Bova, and they lent us the money to fund those projects. So we were able to invest in the projects, build them, launch campaigns to have our members fund them. And that's why it's mentioned here that our first project without the support of the RES groups was in April 2016, because it took us 1 year to build the projects, have them operating, launch the internal campaign to buy them back, let's say, so we could pay back the loan with our members' loans, and then we started launching more new projects in 2016. In 2018, we won the Gulbenkian Sustainability Award, but Coopernico also always wanted to be more of an actor in the energy sector than just a renewable energy producer. So we started our operations to become a supplier an electricity supplier in 2019. And we did that at first in partnership with an existing supplier. So we only had sort of a customized invoice, but we weren't happy with that. Just that the requirements were very high to become a supplier, as you may know. So we only did it in January 2020. That's when we became an independent electricity supplier, just in time for the pandemics, and we're very proud that we were the first company to lower our electricity tariffs when the pandemic started and everyone started using less electricity. The money in the market, the cost of energy in the market came down, of course, and we directly forwarded that benefit to our customers. And also in 2020, we reached 2 megawatts of production capacity. As a cooperative, let's say the master structure is the General Assembly. We meet twice a year. As a cooperative, it's 1 person, 1 vote. So unlike companies, in cooperatives, everybody has the same weight in decision making, and we meet twice a year, one towards the end of the year to prepare for the coming year, and one before the end of March to present the results of the year before. Then we have the Fiscal Council, a board of trustees. These are either long-time members of the cooperative or people that are renowned for their alignment with the principles and with our goals, and people that are well renowned in the energy sector. Then there's the board of directors, of which I'm still the president nowadays, but we have a board of 7 now. We decided we needed to have more people in order to be able to cover all the different needs of the cooperative. And then we have the team with our executive coordinator, the production, energy services, electricity, and member support. And then there's the transversal local groups that are spread a bit throughout Portugal that do a great deal of representation, but also relations with the team and with the board of directors. So Coopernico now has 3 areas of activity. We have production, we have electricity supply, green electricity, of course, and we have energy services with the goal of also helping people improve their energy performance. This is the first scheme ever that I drew about Coopernico. This was supposed to represent the full how it works. So the goal is we get people together they invest in renewable energy projects. We generate green electricity that is then used to supply our homes and businesses, and the benefits of this are shared with the cooperative members, but also with the planet, of course. The way our production works, we have 2 business models for production. One is for the feed-in tariffs that are now over. So there's no more feed-in tariffs for solar power, whatever size, in Portugal. But this is the model I was telling you about. So you're a member, you lend money to the cooperative. The cooperative invests in the rooftop of a non-profit organization, and a percentage of that production is given as a rent to this company. With the rest, of course, the cooperative keeps the money and pays the interest to the members. From the grid, we inject electricity. In the grid, we inject electricity, and we get a feed-in tariff back. Now, when the feed-in tariffs were over, we had to reinvent this model. So what we started to do is the same sort of model, but using self-consumption. And we do a shared savings agreement that is based on a discount to their electricity price. So the members invest, we invest in the rooftop of that non-profit, just that instead of paying for a rent, it is the non-profit that buys that electricity from us. So the one that we generate on their roof, but they buy it with a discount in relation to that electricity that they are buying from their provider. So we say we keep a part of the savings, and then we pay the interest to the members from there. Our case study for SocialRES, which I'm going to try to share now. Why is it not opening? It's here.
I'll let you know when we can see it. Yes, no, this is still GoParity.
I don't see why I don't know why I can't bring that one forward.
Yes, sometimes Zoom is not easy to try.
No. There always has to be some technical difficulty.
Yes, of course. Otherwise, it's not.
It's not weird because it's here. I could see it, but I
because sometimes you have to. Depends on the screen that you're sharing. Let's try.
I'm looking at both. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
I'm going to go back to the presentation. Anyway,
Yes.
the one we did, it was a project for self-consumption on an agricultural cooperative. So cooperatives also have this mandate that cooperatives should cooperate among them. It is one of the 7 principles of cooperatives. And so our first project with this self-consumption model was actually with another cooperative. So they're an agricultural cooperative, and they had huge electricity costs with cold storage, because they have to store all the fruits that they collect before they are distributed, but also only for one part of the year. So what we did was we did an agreement with them. We invested in solar power on their roof. They would of course buy everything that they use from our production from us. This means that in peak season they use a lot of it, and for the rest they don't. So there's a lot of surplus, and the agreement is we do this investment, but we keep all the surplus, and then it's up to us to sell that surplus to improve our business case, let's say. Then the second area of activity, of course, is our electricity supply. This is the way it's working now. So as I told you, we are finally an independent retailer. The only thing that we still need to have is this market agent. So it is the company that actually makes all our orders in the Iberian electricity market. And the third area is the energy services. So here Coopernico acts only as a bridge, and we have agreements with different companies to help our members in projects or their needs, such as electric mobility, energy efficiency, solar power, and this goes both for the members, but also for the non-profits that we work with. We used to have a protocol also to help our members, so without needing to go to other service providers, to help them evaluate how much, or let's say to help them give them technical advice with their self-consumption facilities. So in order to improve our members' uptake of self-consumption. And we're also about to launch, we actually launched a collective purchase already, and we're about to launch a low-cost financing service for our members to solar power their homes. And Coopernico right now is here. So we have projects all over Portugal. We have more than 2,300 members. We have invested 1.9 million euros. We have only 815 contracts in electricity. And by September or October last year, we had 2,000. But you're all probably aware of the energy price crisis currently. And we couldn't take it anymore as Coopernico, and we realized that if we kept selling electricity for less than what we were buying, we would have to stop our activities. So in October, we invited all our members to leave the cooperative and choose other suppliers. There's actually it's not a public supplier, but there's like a universal electricity supplier who had a best price given the circumstances. So now we are reduced to less than 50% of the electricity contracts we had. The ones that we still have are people that are there just out of pure conviction, and they are supporting costs of electricity that might be 3 times higher now than what they were in September. Yeah, and this is what I wanted to share. Thanks for your attention.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Nuno, for the great presentation. We all know how much important it is to spread this kind of information about energy democracy, where citizens can really give a contribution nowadays, because we see how much energy important is, and then you give 2 very practical, I would say, example on how citizens, they can contribute not only to the mitigation to the climate, the global warming, as we know, because your case studies are based on renewable energies, but moreover, very, very important to give energy independence, and so to keep the energy locally produced and be independent by anyone else, I would say. So very, very important, your presentation. Thanks, Nuno. Let's see if we have any questions from our audience in Zoom. Please, you can just really say, okay, there are no questions from the social. If you have any question from Zoom, you can simply switch on your camera, your microphone, address the question directly to Nuno. Let's see a bit. Otherwise, I have, of course, some questions for you. Oh, okay, until we wait from our participant in Zoom. So, as I said, we can understand how much important it is nowadays to have a citizen involved in this kind of action, we say, where citizens, they can really contribute and having electricity, renewable energy electricity in their home, but then also feeling that they belong really to a project that can give a contribution to the world, a sustainable development. Which are, in your opinion, the main barriers that still exist? Because your example are example already existing. So as you have in Portugal, you have in a lot of countries. So why the citizens are not so active in participating in this kind of initiative? Because they are working. I'm also a customer of a cooperative, clients. And so, in your opinion, which is the main barriers that we can try to address in the upcoming months, upcoming years?
First of all, as I was presenting it, I was thinking there's the social dimension to it, of course, is very important, and both initiatives together, we have more than 22,000 citizens engaged. So GoParity has 10,000 investors, but we have 20,000 people that have registered. So there is of course some social engagement that we would like it to be much bigger, and we think it will. And I don't want to sound negative, but one thing that we can not run away from is there are many different reasons that can be barriers, and we can talk about barriers such as legal barriers to self-consumption, for example, or to energy communities, where there's still a big way to be done. But on a more broad perspective, the financial benefit needs to be very clear, because if we can always engage people who are aligned with us, and we can, and that's what we have now. So and if you look at cooperatives all over Europe, there's more than 1 million European citizens that are members of cooperatives, but you'll see a large predominance in the north of Europe. And even if you look at Spain, you see a bigger predominance of cooperative members, where people are more prone to social fights and even for independence. So that the biggest cooperatives in Spain are Som Energia and Goyener, and they're Catalonia and they're Basque. It's not because they're independentists or something. It's because they have the local development vision and the local ownership and the community sort of thinking. And maybe that's one of the things that we would need to have more. But of course, there's always the financial barrier, which can be a financial incentive. So, for example, if you want to become a member of Coopernico, you need to buy 60 euros of shares. We've heard a lot of feedback of people that think that 60 euros is too much, because they're just comparing us as an electricity supplier to any other electricity supplier. When with GoParity, the same thing goes. We all know that sustainable development requires long-term thinking, but no one likes to think long-term when it comes to the return on their investments. And we see that in GoParity. We open a campaign that is 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and money flows in very quickly. If you open a solar power campaign for 7 years, like the one we did for the asbestos-free solar rooftop, then it takes longer to finance. Still, I'm very convinced that this is changing. We're more and more aware and more willing to relate to our planet and impact the planet differently. I would say the two main drivers would be these ones: the economic benefit and the purpose alignment.
Yes, thanks a lot, Nuno. But we have Chris for Goyener here in Zoom. Chris, you have a question. Please, Chris, if you can also switch on your camera directly. Perfect. If you want to address the question in the chat, Chris, I give the floor to you. Thanks for the participation to this webinar of today.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Silvia. Hi, Nuno. Thank you very much for your presentation. We recognize a lot of the things that you've been telling about Coopernico. So yeah, much I would say animo, much strength to you, and keep fighting. My question is about GoParity. As a small private investor, with a little bit of savings, why would I choose for something like GoParity rather than going to an ethical bank, perhaps Triodos or Fiare, where I can also choose in part the projects, or I can distribute the risk over different projects? Yeah, what's for you the main difference? What is also the risk profile of one or the other, and what protection do you have to your investors?
Good, thanks, Chris, and good to see you. So yeah, so the difference we have between GoParity and any green bank, let's say, it's the actual tangibility and empowerment to choose exactly where and how much you want to invest in very concrete projects, and starting with only 5 euros. So you can also choose with whatever money you have and exactly what it is. Then it is the tangibility of the impact that you are creating with your money too. So it's also about exactly how much CO2, jobs, kilowatt hours, people impacted, all the indicators that I was sharing before. So let's say then there is the fintech side of it, where we of course want to do all this, and we will be cheaper and more efficient in doing it. So it's on the one side, it's the empowerment with the tangibility and transparency. The other side is also there's also a financial side to this, because you can invest for free, and you always will with GoParity. And then with the risks, I think that's one of the of course there's the risk to every investment that you make, but this also happens in whatever crowdlending you are you are using. And then there is the risk of the money you have in your account, and I think that's what you're talking about with guarantees, right? And the way we do it is different because we are e-money wallet providers. So this means the money is actually there. So it's not that you have money in a bank and the bank is using it elsewhere and they need to make sure that they have a certain amount of availability in case people start cashing out. Your money is there on your wallet. Whatever is on your wallet is on your wallet, and it's not up to us to manage it, and no one touches it unless you touch it. So it's real money. It's not partially there and partially being used somewhere by the bank to fund other projects that you have no idea what they are doing. And of course, we're using a white label license.
What does that mean? That's new to me.
But there's companies that have banking licenses, and they will provide it to you to use under your own brand. So instead of you needing to become an actual bank, if you want to provide services that are a part of what a bank will do or something that needs a bank license, you can use their license.
Okay, I didn't
they
know.
They will do all the compliance and all the KYC verifications, etc. There's a business model to them, of course.
It's a world that's foreign to me, so I didn't know that existed. Just to make sure that I understand well, so you establish a wallet, you put money in the wallet, and from that wallet you then can invest in different projects, and the money that is in your wallet stays there. You don't use it for other purposes, and really only the money that goes into projects is potentially at risk.
At risk, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Okay, thank you.
And our goal is to have debit cards connected to your wallet too, so that in the future you can also use that money for that money or the money that you make out of interest and repayments in your daily life.
So the credit cards will be connected to the wallet, if I understood correctly, right?
That's the goal, yeah. They're debit cards though.
Debit,
so
okay.
No credit involved.
Yes. Great. Well, I think we are closer to a very revolution here in terms of, I would say, the energy democracy. I really see that in the future we have all the tools ready to provide a sustainable development, to have the citizens involved without a lot of obstacle, because I suppose that a lot of years ago was also not easy maybe for us citizens to understand this kind of concept. And now you are improving a lot also in making these tools easy to be understood. And so I really hope that we can spread this kind of news as much as we can in the future for energy democracy, sustainability, mitigate global warming. I don't know if we have other questions from the participants in Zoom. Otherwise, I think that we can close the webinars. Nuno, do you have anything that you want to add to today?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure. I mean, I know we didn't talk enough maybe about the motivations for people to join, right? But you have done a lot of work on SocialRES about that, and that's. I just wanted to leave clear that one of the reasons that we wanted to join SocialRES is actually to get sort of more of expert evaluations on expert conclusions on why people join. We've done a lot of surveys, and it's never clear whether it's out of motivation or out of the environmental concern or out of the financial benefit that they get out of the investment. But for cooperatives, for example, since there is this initial purchase of shares, and we know that there's always some alignment, because that's the first barrier to join. if you're willing to put some money on a cooperative's hands before you even become an investor or a customer, then it means there's definitely a purpose alignment between you and what the cooperative is offering. And one curious thing that we have understood in other studies, also with the federation, is that there tends to be a big raise in awareness about energy spending by people that become energy cooperative members.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So, Chris, can I share our last experience? Yes, please, Chris. I don't know if it's this question. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't want this to be about us, but because Nuno has repeated the fact that this is investing to the entry barrier to have to pay some money up front. He mentioned 60 euros. For some people, that's a barrier. We also we have 100 euros, and for some people, that's also a barrier to us. And in fact, yesterday we had an extraordinary General Assembly. And we asked our membership if they would agree to us raising this entry level, because otherwise we would be facing a similar situation to what Nuno referred to. We need a lot of liquidity. We have a treasury problem because of the high electricity prices, and so we need more capital, and therefore we have asked the permission from our members to potentially raise it from 100 to 200 euros. We will probably not execute the second 100 euro immediately. Probably we'll need to start with 50 euros. So, but that's not been decided yet. But at least we've asked for permission to be able to do that. That this is a filter, and that we probably might lose some members, some people who are not, as Nuno said, as motivated, or who don't understand that this is not just, we're not a low-cost energy company. We are a cooperative, and that means that sometimes you have to share in the pain of the enterprise, right? And we also explained that this is not donating money. This is capital share, and when you leave you can take it out again, so it's not a gift. So yeah, I'm just, like I said, we understand what you're going through, and we're trying to find the solution to that also. And also to say that we do have market representation. So what you say, you explained that you go through a market representative. We at some time ago, we invested in the effort of becoming learning to be a market representative, and that also gives us some more stability. So if you can do, I think that would be a potential solution for you as well.
Thank you.
It's very nice to have this cooperation on cooperative, I would say. We really need it nowadays. So thanks, Chris, for your contribution. Thanks again, Nuno, for the great presentation. We can close the webinar here. If you are interested in knowing more about this kind of energy democracy practice tool, I don't know how to call it. We have this event the 28th, 29th of April with SocialRES, Sonnet, Newcomers, and Comet. So all the sister project of SocialRES is today's. So the link is here in the chat. It's for free. It will be online. It was on site. About the information are there. So I thank you again, Nuno. All the best, I would say, for your effort that you are doing with your companies, with your cooperative, with your crowdfunding company. We know how much important it is to have this kind of person, I would say, in the world able to contribute for a sustainable development. So be strong when you will have some obstacles. Because I know that it's not easy to start from something new, as you have done. Congratulations again for what you are doing for the sustainable development. And so with this, we close the webinars. We wish you a nice lunch, if you have not done yet, a nice afternoon. Thanks a lot to all the
Thank you, Silvia. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Alice and Marta, for
thank you. Bye-bye.
backstage.
Bye-bye. Thank you.